ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। द्वन्द्वानि सर्वाण्यखिलात्रिपुट्यः किञ्चित् समाश्रित्य विभान्ति वस्तु तन्मार्गणे स्याद् गलितं समस्तं न पश्यतां सच्चलनं कदापि विद्या कथं भाति न चेदविद्या विद्या विना किं प्रविभात्य विद्या द्वयं च कस्येति विचार्य मूल स्वरूपनिष्ठा परमार्थविद्या बोद्धारमात्मानमजानतो यः बोद्धः स किं स्यात् परमार्थबोधः बोधस्य बोध्यस्य च संशयं स्वं विजानतस्तद्वितीयं विनश्येत् निद्रा न विद्या ग्रहणं न विद्या गृह्णाति किञ्चिन्न यथार्थबोधे निद्रा पदार्थग्रहणेतरा स्यात् चिदेव विद्या विलसन्त्यशून्या सत्यश्चिदात्मा विविधा कृतिश्चित् सिद्ध्येत् पृथक् सत्यचितो न भिन्ना भूषा विकारा किमु सन्ति सत्यं विना सुवर्णं पृथगत्र लोके तद्युष्मदोरस्मदि सम्प्रतिष्ठा तस्मिन् विनष्टे स्मदि मूलभूतात् तद्युष्मदस्मन्मतिवर्जितैका स्थितिर्ज्वलन्ती सहजात्मनः स्यात्. The verse which verse number 16 here, or 14 if you don't count the other two verses. In different texts different ways of numbering are there. So in this we see that there is a connection to this Adhyasa Bhashya of Adi Shankara, which I said we will look at today, and we will see what the what it has to say. So in this Adhyasa Bhashya of Adi Shankara, same words are used. Asmad Yushmad Pratyayoho. Asmad and Yushmad both are used here. Asmad, Yushmad, it starts with Yushmad actually because Yushmad stands for the Jagat. Although it really means you, here you means that which is an which is an object in the for me. That is what you are. You, the body, mind, sense complex, which is an object for me, is what is being talked about here. And so, Yushmad Ashmaya Asmad Pratyaya Gocharayoho Vishaya Vishayinoho Tamah Prakashavad Viruddha Swabhavayoho Itaretara Bhava Anupapattau Siddhayam Tadharmanamapi Sutaram Itaretara Bhava Anupapattihi. There is nothing in common between the Jagat, which I objectify, and I, the objectifier. This is a very wonderful thing to understand. What do the two have in common? Zero, nothing. So, I am not the tree, I am not the, I'm not any particular place like a city, I am not the town, I am not the house, I am not the building, I'm not the bird, I'm not the animals that I see. So therefore there is nothing in common between me and what I objectify. This is what the first thing he says. That, first thing to understand is that the sense objects, Vishaya, and the subject of the sense objects, Vishayin, have nothing in common with the other. So the Vishaya is denoted by the word Yushmat in this bhashya. Okay, in the text that we are studying, it's slightly different. We'll come to that. And then the Vishayin is talked about as Asmat, and they have completely opposite swarupas, natures. How opposite? Such as darkness and light. Just like darkness and light cannot occupy the same place at the same time, similarly, the Vishaya and Vishayin have nothing to do with one another. They are so different. One is the illuminer, the other one is begging to be illumined by the first. One is self-shining, the other one is lit by the first one. And so there are so many differences. And also there is no way in which the sense objects can become the sense organs. Sorry, the cognizer of the objects, the subject. The sense objects can never become the subject. Like you don't say this tree is me. You don't say that. And similarly, the subject cannot become the object, neither can the object become the subject. Nothing at all. And therefore, the even though there is no, there is no possibility of a mix-up, all the same, the whole conduct of the empirical vyavahara, the worldly, what should I say, transactions, result in, arise from, and are sustained by the mix-up between the subject and the object. Helpless mix-up. How how very interesting. You see, any action on your part, what happens to any action on your part? Any action on your part presupposes that you are different from that upon which you are acting. Is it not? Yes. And so any action on your part is arising out of this confusion alone, is sustained by this confusion alone. And everything is connected to this confusion alone. And even though this confusion is a big mystery, how can this confusion even happen? How is it even possible? Somehow it happens, somehow it is there. And then so Loka Vyavahara. Loka Vyavahara means the transactions of the world start with this confusion. It starts, as we talked about in the previous classes, it starts upon waking. As soon as you wake up, what do you say? Me. I'm waking up. I was asleep. Now I am awake. Oh my God, OMG, what day is it? What do I have to do? All this is based on this adhyasa. Adhyasa means a powerful projection. It's all a projection. Oh, I can tell today the day is going to go badly. Why? Because today is an eclipse. An eclipse is coming, okay, at the end of the month. So that's why, I chose this example. So today is an eclipse, so therefore the day is going to go badly. Ayyo Rama. The eclipse itself is a projection of the sun, okay? Of a shadow. And then now you are projecting onto that projection. And and you have decided the day will go badly because why? The birth star. It's catching. Literally, this is how Indians talk. It is catching my birth star. Birth star Bharani, it's in Aries. Okay, so it's catching my birth star and this Bharani nakshatra, it is catching, and therefore it is going to give me bad, situations. And then, even if nothing bad was going to happen, it will definitely happen now that you made up your mind that this is how the day is going to go. Even if it was not going to happen, it will definitely happen. Why? Because that's how it is. Thoughts are powerful. Definitely they are powerful. And so there must be some, there is some kind of a connection. And in a way, to a certain extent, I mean, we don't create our own reality, but certainly we can make it worse, or we can make it better, really. And so, therefore, the whole life starts with a mistake, and that mistake goes by various names, samsara, etc. That is the mistake. And it says avivekena, because of lack of discrimination and lack of atmajnanam, because of no self knowledge, the people engage in two kinds of adhyasa. One is atmani anatma adhyasa. In the Atma, I project, which is Satchidananda. I project, what do I project? I project qualities, attributes of finitude upon that which is infinite. Oh, I'm subject to death. Oh, I'm gone. Oh, I'm finished. Oh, I'm restless. Oh, I'm done in. This is how one talks. So, this is all adhyasa. What kind of adhyasa is it? Atmani, in the Atma, anatma adhyasa. In the I, not I is projected onto the I. That is one kind of adhyasa. Then another kind of adhyasa logically follows anatmani atma adhyasa. In the not I, I project the Satchidanandatvam. I seek that infinite in the finite, and I try to make the finite into infinite. Starting with the body. Nobody wants wrinkles. Nobody wants gray hair. Nobody wants, what else, clicking joints, creaking joints, pain, any sign of old age. Nobody wants. And so, therefore, that which is susceptible to old age, that which is finite, namely the body, the mind, the senses, one tries to treat it as though it is infinite. One tries to make the finite infinite, and not happy with that, one doesn't recognize oneself as infinite and therefore confuses oneself for the finite. And so this kind of and then Adi Shankara at the end of this one paragraph, which is actually one sentence really, he points out that this mutual superimposition, anyonya asmin, anyonyat अन्योन्यात्मका आत्मकताम् अन्योन्य धर्मांश्च अध्यस्य इतरे इतरः अविवेकेन अत्यंत विविक्तयोः धर्मधर्मिणोः मिथ्याज्ञाननिमित्तं सत्यानृते मिथुनीकृत्य अहमिदं मम इदम् इति नैसर्गिकोऽयं लोकव्यवहारः. So, because of ignorance, then this kind of a mutual mix-up is taking place. This mutual superimposition of the attributes of the not I being superimposed, projected on the I, and the attributes of the I being projected on everything that is not the I, and then that leads to what? Failure to discriminate either of them. You don't know what is anatma, you don't know what is atma. Both of them you are, it's a lost cause, because the two are hopelessly mixed up. And then what happens? And therefore, by mithuni kritya means by marrying, joining Satya and Anrita. Anrita here is Mithya. By celebrating the wedding ceremony of Satya and Satyam and Mithya, the whole world starts. With the words, he says, I am this much alone, and this is mine. Then later, this is me. All the conduct of the world, starts with this kind of a, this kind of a mix-up. And then the how is this mix-up possible? He asks, and he himself answers. He asks, Katham punah pratyagaatman atmani विषये अध्यासः विषयतद्धर्माणां सर्वैः पुरोवस्थिते एव विषये विषयान्तरम् अध्यस्यन्ति. So he says, how can there be a superimposition or a projection of a sense object and its attributes on that which is the pratyagatma, the innermost self, which is free of all attributes, which is not an object? And he says, well, this is because of a bad habit. Everyone, and the bad habit, of course, has its roots in ajnanam, self-ignorance, and everyone goes about like this. And then you see the self, the self is self-evident, and the self is not known for what it is. And therefore, the self becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of mistakes. This is what he talks about. And so here, very brilliant, like this, it goes on, and very brilliant opening introduction to the Brahma Sutras. Upodghata Bhashya, it is called. Very nice. It's a masterpiece, actually. And then, so if this is the case, if with this background we can understand this verse, even more deeply than what the words would allow, because than what just a mere reading of the words would allow, because here the words asmad and yushmad are deliberately used, somehow connecting us to this bhashya, to this opening bhashya. So what does he say? Tad yushmadoho asmadi sampratishtha. Tad yushmadoho asmadi sampratishtha. So this mix-up, he has a different take on this mix-up. He doesn't talk about the mix-up. He talks about something that is to be seen in order to never have this mix-up. And what is that he talks about? He talks about the fact that asmadi yushmadoho sampratishtha. So the sampratishtha, that which we talk about as he, she, it, they, tat, and yushmat, you, the second person and the third person. The third person and the second person arise from and are sustained by the content of the first person. It's not literally the ahankara here. It's the content, that truth, that Satchidananda. Here is because, see, and even on the everyday level, if I don't exist, if the I is not there, will the he, she, it be there? No. Will you be there? No. That is for me, from the standpoint of this body, mind, sense complex. If I am not there, then for me, the whatever is constituted by he, she, it, river, tree, ocean, sand, mountains, all of them are as good as not there, because they cannot reveal themselves. And then I won't have you to talk to about it if I'm not there. I cannot say, oh, look at these trees or look at the beach. I cannot say that because If I am not there, you are not there. And then he, she, it is also not there. So the Sampratishtha, the basis of the I, the truth of the I, is the truth of the second person and the third person. Asmadi Sampratishtha. It is all starting with I, and starting with I, ending with I. Then tasmin vinashte asmadi moolabodhat. Moolabodhat, moolabodhat means moolasya ashrayasya swarupasya bodhat vedanat. So, Moola Bodhat means through the understanding of the truth of oneself. Then what what happens? Tasmin Asmadi, in this I, that in the I, which I, the Ahankara I, the content of the Ahankara I is the Satchidananda I. The Satchidananda I alone manifests as the Ahankara I, or is cognized by the I, which is the everyday I, the one that is the one that is the master of the body mind sense complex. And then what happens? And then Swarupasya bodhat vedanat vinashte vilayam gate sati tad yushmad asmanmati varjita. Something wonderful happens. When you look into this third person, second person, first person, these distinctions, then something wonderful happens. You are led to the source. And what is the source? That source is you, not you as the Ahankara, of course. Then what is this you we are talking about? That's Satchidananda Aham Asmi. Aham Brahmasmi. That Aham, when you understand Tasmin Vinashte, then Tad Yushmad Asman Mati Varjita Eka Sthitihi. Then all this you, I, he, she, it are gone. How are they gone? Cognitively gone. Okay? Cognitively gone means it's not that the jnani goes on some kind of a spree to make everything disappear. There is no need to make anything disappear. The question of disappearance only arises when one is bothered by the appearance of something. Here, the disappearance is itself questioned, because the appearance of a tree, of the ocean, of the mountains, of the river, whatever you want to talk about, that appearance is not other than you. Whatever appears, quote unquote, is you. Whatever disappears is disappearing in you. So it's not separate from you. You are that moola. You are the source of everything appearing and disappearing. Therefore what? Therefore, tad yushmad asman mati. So this mati, the buddhi that categorizes yushmat, asmat, tat, all these things, second person, first person, third person, and if there are fourth, fifth persons, any number of persons you can include, and all of them, they are all what? They all resolve in the buddhi which has been blessed by this Vedanta knowledge. And in that buddhi, there is only eka matihi. One being, that oneness. And that oneness is sthitihi. There is an abidance in that oneness. And that oneness is sahaja atmanah syat. It is all you alone. That one shining self is all you alone. In a way, he is responding to Adi Shankara's treatise, by saying, why should we worry about the mix up? The mix up between I and not I. Oh no, I'm mixed up. I have taken the not I to be I, and then now I need something. I need something to overcome that. I need something to change that. Why all this stress and tension? Why to cause all this stress? It is, very easily you can just, this is, quintessential Ramana Maharshi. It's all about sitting with oneself until you do not want to run away. That is the idea. Because if you try sitting with yourself, not doing anything, no internet, no smartphone, no book, nobody to talk to, no TV, nothing, no gadgets, no devices. If you just sit with yourself, what happens? You suddenly think of, you need to clean something, you need to polish something, you need to go somewhere and do something. You need to, and all this time it has been without attending to. But only when you sit with yourself, these kinds of chores, even the most detestable chores to you, suddenly start looking very attractive, and you want to go and do that. Or suddenly you feel like talking to somebody. Oh, where is my phone? I have to talk to them. What's wrong? I really feel like talking to so and so. Or you feel like eating something. Really. You sit to meditate, you'll suddenly feel hungry. Even though you've had a meal, you suddenly feel hungry. Or you just want to sit with yourself, suddenly there'll be hunger. Or suddenly there'll be some distraction. And so here, for the person who's caught up in this projection, oh no, what should I say, deprogram the projection, and I have to have I have to have a Vedanta program of study. I have to do Tattva Bodha check, Atma Bodha check, and then what else, A for Atma Bodha, B for Bodhasara, like this, you may, C for Chandogya Upanishad, and the D for Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastra is also important. It's important to know Dharma. Okay. So, like this, you can make a whole list of, then you say, oh, no, 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 I don't have the time to study. I'm busy. I have so many things to do. This adhyasa will never go. What's wrong with me? Why is it so difficult? Why can't I be, why can't I be like so many people who got this knowledge? When will I get this knowledge? Is it in this life, next life, life after that? And then one is still caught in this Yushmad, Ashmad, Asmad, what should I say, dyad or a triad according to him. First person, second person, third person, and you're just taking everything seriously. If you sit with yourself long enough, he says, accompanied, of course, by the study of texts such as these. Otherwise, if you just sit with yourself, what will come? And nothing will come. Yeah, you ask the question, who am I? Who is asking? The one who knows or the one who doesn't know? The one who doesn't know is asking. So what answer will come? Idiot. Who are you? Idiot. Why? Because that is what everybody called me when I was small. Donkey, monkey. These are the answers that will come. But as a nididhyasana, as a way of contemplating upon what one already knows and what one is studying, this is a fantastic method. Just sit. Even if you say, I don't want to meditate, doesn't matter, don't meditate. Just sit with yourself till the cows come home. And then there is some fruit to this, because what happens is that you just realize, you just understand that everything, it's just the turmoil of the mind. The whole Jagat blooms and blossoms in the mind. And like sometimes, it doesn't blossom. It gives out a terrible odor. Like there is one in Thailand, there is one, what is that? There is one flower which blooms once a year or once in 2 years. It's called corpse flower. And it's a huge flower, maybe, maybe a mile in a mile, 1 mile radius, and it grows somewhere in the wilderness mountain tops. And then when it starts to, when it blooms, it's okay, it doesn't have any odor, but as it starts to decompose, it gives a terrible odor. And so that's what it is. All the difficulties uh, are within. All the whole samsara is within. Yushmat, within. Tat, within. First person as the ahankara, within. Second person, within. Third person, within. And then maybe from Adi Shankara's point of view, maybe he will say that they have all got mixed up. But here, from Ramana Maharshi's standpoint, they, whatever is supposed to go away will go away if you just prevail, just be. And then you understand that the root of the you and the root of the he, she, it, and the root of the Jagat is really myself alone. That is what has to be understood. And in that understanding, only the I shines. Everything, completely goes away. And I suppose this kind of a knowledge of oneness was there even in indigenous traditions long ago. But because of colonization and this proselytization, mass proselytization, this knowledge is no longer available. In India, somehow, because it was written in Sanskrit and because they couldn't understand, somehow it was safe along with the teaching tradition. There's one book about this, it's an autobiography of this, some kind of a African indigenous leader who lives somewhere in California. And then so he wrote this book. And then he talked about his initiation into this knowledge from his elders. He was kidnapped by French missionaries, abducted as a young child, and put in boarding school somewhere. Before even he knew what his house looked like, nothing. He was 5 years old or something like that. He was playing in his compound, and his parents were healers, and they had gone to attend to somebody, and his elder siblings were there, but they couldn't do anything. One car came and then took him and educated him in some convent school in his country itself, but somewhere else in the city. He didn't know where it was. And then when he was, he was abducted at five and a half. And then when he was 16, he just had this feeling like, he was just totally indoctrinated. And 16 or 17 he was, and he was just totally, what should I say, westernized because of the boarding school. And then later, what happened was that he just, one day from his dormitory, he opened the curtain early in the morning and saw one hawk. And then he had been told as a young child, and he remembered that the hawk was his special animal, like a totem animal. And so the hawk, knocked on the window with its beak, and then, started to open its wings. And then he said, okay, this is a sign I need to escape from here, because he was very depressed and he could not really get adjusted to all this, these Western ways, even though he had, but then he somehow followed the hawk. As it flew, he escaped from the convent school and then walked for 2 or 3 days and then finally reached his village. It was kind of familiar. He reached his village and then he went there and then, his mother saw him at first and she just, her eyes filled up with tears, but she would not come out and embrace him. Then his father also saw him from a distance. They are looking all very happy to see him, very emotional, but nobody is coming and greeting him. He thought, oh, this is so strange. And then he tried to go and hug his father, and the father said, "Stay away from me. You are just so corrupted. Your whole being is useless. Yeah, and we have to really cleanse you and initiate you because you are not worthy of interacting at all. Stay away from all of us." So he was put in some hut on the outskirts of the village until he was ministered to spiritually, which took a long time, because they said that that whole the Western civilization of duality and sense of entitlement, and I deserve this, I'm the best, east or west, that kind of a mentality, all this had to be deprogrammed from him. And then he was initiated with a whole lot of other boys, in the and some ceremonies were done, and there was one test as part of the initiation, not a test, a sadhana, an exercise. And what was the exercise? I mean, the whole story is to get to this point, okay? So I told the story so they can enjoy this point. So here he was asked to sit in front of a tree and just look at the tree. And then he looked, what is there? He thought to look in the tree. It has branches, it has leaves, big deal. And it is it has a trunk. What is there to look in the tree? And then he was bored. Next day also, bored. Third day also, bored. Then he saw that all the other students were also sitting in front of trees. Some of them would drop out. After a while, they would not be seen after 1 or 2 days or 3 days or whatever it was. And then he asked some of the people what happened. Oh, they passed the test, so they don't have to be sitting staring at the tree. Then he said, I also, it's high time I also passed the test. And and then he went, and there were some mentors or the elders that were there. They would check in with them each time. So he called out to one of the elders and he said, "Oh, I'm seeing wonderful things. It's not a tree at all." And he says, "Oh, okay. Tell, what do you see?" The elders said. So the another elder also had walked up by this point, and they said, "Okay, tell us, what do you see?" "Well, I see fairies, and I see something." He just made up because he was sick of sitting in the hot sun. His face was burning, his body was soaked in sweat, and he said, "I see some angels with wings and going around the tree." And the two people, the elders, had a hearty laugh. They rolled on the floor and laughed, and they laughed some more. And they said, "This is why you haven't passed, because not only do you not know what is there to see, you also have learned to lie about it. So just sit." "Oh, but when will I know I have passed?" "You will know, just sit." And 18 and a half days later, 18 and a half days, I think he was allowed to go to the bathroom and eat some things and then sleep for exactly 2 or 3 hours every night. And then he had to get up again and sit at the tree, watch the tree. So 18 and a half days. Then finally, he had a kind of an immersive experience where he felt that the tree was him, everything was him, and everything. And so then, and not only that, after that, he did not have the pressure to call the people, to call the elders and share with them what he knew. And neither did he have all this time he was wanting to get away from the tree, which was really himself. The tree was just there as a placeholder for him to really understand himself. And he didn't have the pressure to go and tell somebody, "I've had this wonderful experience," and neither did he any longer want to get away from that tree. He just sat there, and immediately the elders recognized, "Okay, fine, you are done." They could understand because they had gone through the same thing. And the story is so touching, very moving, because this is exactly what it takes, is to be able to let go of the distractions every single day and make some time for oneself. Make some time. Even if you're not good at meditating, even if you're not an expert in anything, just sit. Just sit without any distractions. Stare at the wall, stare out of the window, stare out of the at the ceiling, or just go look at the tree, like this young man had to do, and just be every day. And then that's what will happen. You become more familiar with that aham, which is part of the aham brahmasmi sentence. So that is where one has to get to know that. This is really an appointment with oneself. And the more one gets comfortable with oneself, then the more the verses of Vedanta like these speak clearly and immediately. So that is what it is. So that is the sthiti, the abidance in the shining eye. All that remains is the shining eye. Now we come upon a verse which is one of my very, very favorites. Lovely verse. And Pujya Swamiji used to also quote it very often. And so this is how it goes. Bhutam bhavishyaccha bhavat svakale tadvartamanasya vihaya satyam हास्यान किं स्यात् जगद्गतभावि चर्चा विनैकसङ्ख्यां गणनेव लोके भूतं भविष्यच्च भवत्स्वकाले तद्वर्तमानस्य विहाय तत्त्वं हास्यान किं स्यात् गतभावि चर्चा विनैकसङ्ख्यां गणनेव लोके. Here we are being treated to a conference of the annual mathematicians conference. There is a conference of all mathematicians gathering in one place to discuss some interesting theories. How did they derive certain things? What happened, etc., etc. And there are lots of boards with equations trying to be worked out. And the mathematicians look extremely lost, puzzled. And they go to each other's boards, and then they are not able to find out what is the mistake. Why are we not able to derive this equation? There is some error. There is a glaring error here, but the error is so subtle that one is not able to understand this error at all. What is this error? And what is this happening? And then they finally they realize, what do they realize? That they are trying to do the equation without using the number 1. There are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but there is no 1. And so, what will such a convention of mathematicians look like without recourse, without the use of number 1, which is a basic number in mathematics? Without number 1, there is no mathematics at all. There is no arithmetic. There is nothing. And so without 1, if you are having a huge convention, what does that look like? That looks like all the people looking very busy in the Jagat. And this is exactly what it looks like, because busy in the Jagat, busy doing what? Busy trying to repair the past, and busy trying to be frightened of the future. This is what exactly it looks like. So, bhutam, the past. Atita kalaha, bhutam. And then bhavishyat. Bhavishyat means, bhavishyat means what? Anagataha, not yet come here. Anagataha, not yet arrived. That is the future. That which has passed, that is the past. And then bhavat swakale. Ubhau api, both of them are there. Where? Swakale. Sambhava samaye. So, swakale. Bhutam bhavishyatcha swakale. Means in their own time, they belong in their own time, in their own way. They just are there in their own time. So the past is there when? In its own time, which is the present. That's how you call it past. Future is there also in its own time, when, right now, in the present. And then what? Now, If you were, and then, if tad vartamanasya vihaya tattvam vihaya, having taken away from the equation, having given up tattvam, if you take away from the past and the future the truth of the present, what remains? Nothing remains. Nothing remains. And hasyana kim syat, is not the situation laughable? He says, hasyana kim syat. What is the situation that is laughable? Gata bhavi charcha. The charcha, the discussion, the serious discussion of that which has gone and that which is yet to come, without configuring the present in question. Isn't this a laughable situation? Just like a arithmetic conference without the number one. Somebody is trying to count, and then they are not using the number one at all. They don't know number one, and this is exactly as laughable as that. And so, if we look at the past, past is what? Now, past is now. The past is the present of the last minute. The past was the present of yesterday. The past was the present of your childhood. The past was the present of the time even before you were born. And what is the future? The future is the present of tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So this is what it is. That's why tomorrow never comes. That is tomorrow never comes. Why? Because when it comes, it becomes today. Somewhere in one of the shops, I saw one in a, what is that called, in a pharmacy in India. There was a sign: cash today, please pay cash today, credit tomorrow. if you if you want to borrow something, you come tomorrow. And then if you came tomorrow, they could just point to the sign. Tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. That's a very famous adage. Tomorrow will never come. Why won't tomorrow come? Because when tomorrow arrives, it has undergone a transformation. It is today. Correct? Yeah. And when tomorrow goes, it becomes yesterday. That is what. So tomorrow, future, today, present, yesterday, past. We are very good at giving names. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, day, whatever it is, we are very good at giving names and cutting up time. And he's going to have a few things to say, about time also in the coming verses. Very beautiful verses. And so here in this one he says, Bhutam bhavishyat cha bhavat svakale tad vartamanasya vihaya sattvam tattvam. So when you take away the truth of the present, what do you have? Nothing. You don't have anything at all. There is no past. There is no past to talk about, and there is no future to talk about, because the past and the future unfold themselves, are being unfolded on the canvas of the present. Without that adhishthana of the present, then there is nothing to talk about. The division of time is mithya. And what is the present? The present is non-separate from I. Present is now. Now, now, now. Oh, I can understand present is now, but how do you say present is I? Because who is saying now? Now, now, now. Who is saying? Not the neighbor. You are saying it, correct? So if you are saying now, that means what? You are recognizing that you are here now. You are here now. You are here again in this moment. And again, you are here now. And again, you are here now. 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 That's what it is. So the now is equal to I. The present is equal to I because to cognize the present, there is the need for a presence. That presence alone cognizes the present, and that presence happens to be I, that is free of time. A series of now become the past. A series of now yet to come is known as the future. The now that is here, in which, in which I cognize myself, in which I mark time, is the truth of the past, is the truth of the future. All that is there is now, no future. It's a superimposition, as it were, upon the now, and a different kind of a projection upon the now is the past. No future, no past. This is how you make a repast of the past in Vedanta. So the whole matrix of time and space, as though are resting on the cognizer. The ahankara is the cognizer, and that ahankara, that I notion, is resting on the I. So the three divisions mithya, because the past is only in your thought. Past is thought, future is thought, and so therefore it's all based on memories and projection. The whole thing. So the past cannot hurt you. The past is really not even existent in order to hurt you. So what hurts you is the thought of the past. The memory of the past is what is hurtful. And then the future cannot be frightening. The future cannot terrify, because the future is also a thought. So the anticipation is what hurts you. The imagination is what hurts you. This is what it is. And so again, when we look at even the present, the concept of the present is mithya. Why? Because what is present? Present means what? What is the present tense? Eats, drinks, cooks. Cooks is a good example. So if there is some wedding or something like that, and so the people have hired a cook, especially in an Indian wedding, minimum 1,000 people. So the people have hired a cook there, okay? So to cook. And the cook comes, the meal is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the cook comes at 5 o'clock. And then somebody asks, what is the cook doing? Cooking. 6 o'clock, cooking. Cooking. 7 o'clock, cooking. 8 o'clock, cooking. 9 o'clock, cooking. 10 o'clock, cooking. 11 o'clock, cooking. 12 o'clock, cooking. 12:45, cooking. 12:58, cooking. 12:59, and so many seconds, cooking. Okay, done. And so 5 hours, 6 hours have gone, but still it's present. And so the present itself is divided. But really speaking, the truth, the content of the present is undivided. You, as the cognizer of the present, may say that the present consists of a certain activity, but you see that activity can either, so if supposing somebody says, oh, that person is tying their shoes, 2 minutes it's done. Cooking 2 hours till it is not done. So it's all very relative, all very relative, and based on the tasks that one has to do. And so therefore, this when you start to analyze the present, you get a headache, because every present is what, do you call 1 hour present, or do you call 1 minute present? And so even in a 1 hour, there are minutes. And then so 1 minute is present and the other 59 minutes are past. Or out of that, how many is the future, etc., etc. So all mithya. Mithya is like that. Like even in mathematics, the definition of a point. A point, so first we look at the definition of a line. A line is that which connects two points. Okay? That I can understand. 2 points, one line that connects. Okay, that's the definition of line. And then what's the definition of point? A point is that which occupies no space. what to do, how to understand this. So a line, point is a line without a dimension, and then that which occupies, that which you fill in between 2 points is a line. And so this is the so a series of points supposedly is a line, but the line is without dimension. I mean, the point is without dimension, but the line has dimension, and so it's all mithya, all mithya. So therefore he says, look at the content of the present. The content of the present is consciousness. Consciousness. And then because of the ahankara, the I notion, the atma is looked upon as past, future, this, that, and because from the standpoint of the body, from the standpoint of the mind, from the standpoint of a particular place, particular time, the atma is looked upon as that. And then, it's the biggest joke to leave aside that which is timeless and then start to reckon time. Very, very strange. And so, what is this ahankara? The I notion is a product of ignorance, because of which everything appears to be limited. I is limited, and I feel I am limited. Time is limited. That's why everybody says, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. Space is limited, I don't have enough space, and everything is finite, finite, finite. And so this is what is called samsara. And where is samsara? In the head. That's where it is. And so keep the head all right, meaning dip it in Vedanta in a nice cool, cool, what should I say, lake, in the placid lake of Vedanta Shastra. Dip the head, keep it cool, and then the rest will take care of itself. And then on the same note, there is the next verse also is on the same note. Very nice note. Let us see that one. क्व भाति दिक्कालकथा विनास्मान् दिक्काललीलेहव पूर्वयञ्चेत् न क्वापि भामो न कदापि भामो वयं तु सर्वत्र सदा च भामः क्व भाति दिक्कालकथा विनास्मान् दिक्काललीलेहव पूर्वयञ्चेत् न क्वापि भामो न कदापि भामो वयं तु सर्वत्र सदा च भामः दिक्कालकथा दिक्कालस्य कथा दिक् च कालः च दिक्कालयोः katha. So this katha means story. Because any story you tell, including the stories you tell yourself, have to have time and space. Otherwise, there is no story. Think of the fairy tales you listened to when you were young. How did they start? Once upon a time, in a particular place, there was a king, and this is what happened to him. Once upon a time. All the fairy tales start with once upon a time. Or in Sanskrit or something, we have what? Long, long ago. Long, long ago, this is what happened. And so, you see, in every story, time is the hero of every story. And place is the hero of every story. If you just have a story without time and place, there is no masala in it. It's not fun anymore. Who will listen to such a story? Who will come to sample your wares if your story goes like this? All is one, one is all, and there is no place, no time. Only mad people come to Vedanta classes, okay? Nicely mad, happily mad. And otherwise, people, these are not, that's why even the Upanishad starts with stories. Because otherwise nobody will come. The Upanishads that are taught first are the ones with lot of masala and stories. Ushan Hawaii, Hawaii. This Hawaii means long ago, indeed, at one point in time. Ushan, means wanting to go to Brahmaloka, desirous of going to Brahmaloka, was one man called Vajashrava. तस्यः नचिकेता नाम पुत्रः आसीत्. There was for him, there was a child whose name was Nachiketa. Then you sit up, and then you feel good. I'm studying Kathopanishad, yay, yippee. Otherwise, who's going to do that? Nobody's going to be interested. There should be a Shvetaketu, there should be some place, there should be some time that is there. And then without that, there is no story. Time and place are the foundation of every story, including the story that goes around and around and around relentlessly in your head, all the stories that go around. Look at that person, how nice I was to him, and look at what they did to me. That's a story. That also has time and space. How could they do that to me? Look how nice, what all good deeds I did. And then this is when I did. And sometimes the stories come with lot of dates. In 1998 also they did this. In 2008 also they did this, and in 2018 also they did this. Now, after hearing this story, I want to ask the person, what is wrong with you? That you had to have three such experiences with this person. So, what is wrong with you? Forget the other person. So all these dates and times are carefully kept. When you go somewhere on holiday, nowadays in pandemic, that bhoot has gone. Bhoot means that that obsession has gone. But before, I have to go here, I have to travel there, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then you write, on the photo. In the olden times, you write on the photo, this was taken then at this time, and all these memories. And it's all about time, it's all about space. Speaking of time, we will meet tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.